Suparna Ganguly, thank you so much for being with us for this special living one on Face to Face with Elephants. We're really grateful for your time and hugely enthusiastic to hear about your work.
I'm very grateful, Lacey. Thank you so much.
Oh, well, it's our pleasure. Maybe we could start by finding out a little bit about you and what your work is, how you came to be working closely with elephants.
First, Lacey, let me tell you that I'm very honored to be here. This space has been shared by so many such famous personalities that I don't think I figure in that group of people or scientists or environmentalists, but I'll do my best to give you an idea of what India's elephants are, what kind of scene that they occupy and where we have come into the picture. My work with elephants started in a slightly, I would think in a very bizarre manner, because in the early 2000s, I had no idea about captive elephants in India, and nobody had. Frankly, nobody knew what elephants were doing, where they used to come from, where are they being acquired, what are they used, what are the different managements that they are used to. It was all very new to us, to see an elephant walking on the road, fine. You see one in a circus, that's fine. It's not that common that we were, constantly in our faces or something. But something happened that changed our entire perspective, and I would say my life as well, because after that, I got very badly caught up with captive elephants. In particular, it was in the year 2005 that I had gone to the forest department to talk about something that was, with wildlife or some matter. And we were talking, and they said, we have to go for an inspection of an elephant in a temple. Would you care to come along? And without understanding or without even understanding the significance of anything, we said, of course, we'd love to come along, thinking that we'd see a perfectly normal, happy scene. What we encountered that day, Izzy, that really curdled my blood. And I think from that day onwards, I think we took an oath that we will not rest till we know where and how this whole thing comes and where it is emanating from, this entire trade and this whole business of captive elephants. So we went to a temple, and there it was a small one in the middle of the city, and on a hot, scorching marble floor, there was a young male elephant tied on all four legs, with heavily shackled with chains. There was a completely idiotic, useless young mahout, totally untrained, who was hitting him on all four legs and commanding him in a language that the elephant didn't understand. He didn't even know what was expected of him. He couldn't understand what the mahout was saying. Young bull, about 15 to 16 years old. That shocked us because we had never seen this kind of ruthless beating to a chained animal, that too on a scorching floor of a midsummer afternoon. And I think the department officials were equally stunned, but they didn't say anything. We went back with blood pounding in our veins straight to the police station, and we filed our first FIR, which is a first information report on the cruelty and abuse of an elephant, which no matter, they could not justify under any grounds how they could be training a young animal in this manner. Anyway, when that happened, we didn't realize it was the beginning of a long, long journey, because that's where the first FIR that started, and we didn't stop there. There were 3 elephants that time in the city where I live, Bangalore. And we filed FIRs against all the elephants because all of them had conditions that were similar, unsatisfactory, bad housing. We had not seen the violence in the other 2 cases. In this case, the violence was there. And then that FIR progressed onto a litigation that lasted us for 6 long years. in the years when we filed the report, it was 2004-5. When the litigation was resolved, it was 2011-12. And the elephant was finally transferred to the Forest Department's space in the forest area in our state, Karnataka. And he's still there. He's now a much older elephant, and he's a beautiful tusker. So once that incident had been witnessed, we could not get it out. I could not get it out of my system. It's remained there, and it'll always be there. But that prompted us to do something that we never thought we would. We applied for a grant, and for 7 years, we studied elephants in captivity from all over India. And the elephants in captivity are in majority in a few states. The grant was generous enough to help us to travel and to collect data on the living and management conditions of these elephants. And then we went through Assam, West Bengal, Bihar, Kerala, Tamil Nadu, Karnataka, Andaman Nicobar Islands, and we finally got 1,200 or more data sheets of elephants in captivity. We understood what was happening, and then we tried to go back and find out about the acquisition process. It was in such deep, it was hidden in layers of mystery and layers of legalese that nobody could understand. We went through it bit by bit by bit. We collected episodes, anecdotes, orders, all kinds of details about captive elephants. And if you see my study now, you will find that the entire room is full of files and old files and papers that sometimes I feel it would be the best place if I could open it to elephant research people who will then know the foundation on which all this started, the whole movement of captivity, of captive elephants in India. Before that, no one had studied it. Then in 2011, I think, we published this book called Gods in Chains.
Oh, wow. Okay.
And it was a book that opened many people's eyes, and we distributed it free of cost to all the government departments, to Delhi, to the ministries, to everyone, to tell them, you've been hiding so much from us. You've been allowing such shit to happen in the country. Elephants were being bought and sold whereas the law doesn't permit them. There's no buying and selling of elephants in the country. India is a country, unlike Southeast Asia, where elephants are considered as Schedule 1 wildlife. You cannot buy and sell. But this was happening openly. And in Thailand, when you see an elephant, at least there is a chance you can rescue it. Here, my goodness, you are against an army of laws and things but traders get through all that muck easily. The corruption rules. So by layering all the layers that govern captive elephant issues, like the sellers, the people who give ownership certificates, the forest departments, the brokers, the traders, elephants are brought mostly from Northeast into mainland India. So that's how we came to become. We were activists, Isi, but today I can't call myself an activist anymore. I am constantly helping people to unearth, to understand, and to work under the tip, because I am faced with the responsibility of having elephants in my care, which are due to the generosity of the forest department. And so I cannot be seen as going against the system. So therefore, because they can do many harmful things to the elephants, to the land where they are on and things. So we don't want to annoy them in any way, but we are there to help everybody to reach that goal if they wish to, because the information and knowledge that we have is enormous over the years.
It sounds like a phenomenal task. I can just imagine those piles and piles of paperwork about individual elephants and going through all those different legal ramifications. It must have been, mind-blowing and emotionally very painful to deal with.
Very painful. And you know what? In 2014, when we had all the reports and all the material in our hands, we went to the Supreme Court of India. And from 2014 to 22, we got good orders to to enhance the welfare, to go into inspections of elephants in the Amer Fort in Rajasthan, to go into Kerala, where there was terrible abuse happening. From 22 to 2022 to now, there was not a single hearing. And absolute quiet. The Supreme Court case went dead. So it's almost 11 years now. And yesterday we got the news, the case has come up for hearing. Today was the hearing, but the hearing has got adjourned. So it will happen in January. So this will go on, and some of the law has changed, not too much for the worse, but not for the better either. And now we have to change our prayers in the same manner. Things have happened in 11 years, things have happened. So we have to refresh our petition. And so that is ongoing, of course, which is always at the back of our mind, that the petition, what a lovely cat.
He likes my attention.
He's like a child. He's asking not to neglect him. Yes. So that's where the work started first. I mean, the lifelong interest and the lifelong involvement and engagement with captive elephant issues and their abuse, and how can we get to the bottom of it? What are the various options available to us within the limitations that we face? So that occupies a lot of my time, even now.
I can imagine. And I thought, and I don't know, from reading books about, animal laws, I thought that India had some quite progressive laws on animals, more so. But is that the case?
Of course. Yeah. That is the case. That is the case. And these laws sometimes are just dusted and kept. So we are taking out every law, dusting it back, putting it out in combination with wildlife laws, in combination with constitutional laws, in combination with welfare and captive elephant regulations, guidelines, and trying to tell the courts and the public and the judiciary and the bureaucracy that what you're doing is not right. You have this host of laws. I mean, today, even to seek retirement for 3 of our elephants, we've been waiting for so long because the matter is complex. I'll come to it later as we go on, why it is so complex for the Wildlife Department to give us retirement orders for 3 really, really needy elephants in our care.
And I mean, there is the issue that I think you're referring to is the issue of land. I mean, of the space to be able to offer a sanctuary for these elephants. How difficult is it to be able to provide them with a retirement home?
That's what it took us the next half of my life to get the land. And first half was understanding the captive elephant scenario in the country. And the scenario is vast. We have about, right now, as per census of 2020, we have 2,675 captive elephants in the country, which is divided in various states of India. And they are under so many different categories. They come under zoos, circuses, forest camps, joyriding agencies, religious institutions, timber camps, so many different issues. I mean, and each one has a different management, and each one comes from very different backgrounds. But the thread running through all of them is abuse, total intensive confinement, and a lot of violence in their lives. So although these are different categories, all the elephants live in spaces ranging from a city car shed to forest camps where there are rivers and forests and things like that. But when you're starting in India, the word sanctuary is a technical term. So we don't use the word sanctuary very often in India because it is one of the three forest categories. Wildlife sanctuary, which is a protected national area. Then we have the national park, where it's highest protection. And then we have tiger reserve forests. And then we have reserve forests. So all these are controlled by the forest departments of each state. For elephants to be given their kind of lifetime space and things, land is always in the custody of the government. The kind of land that we are seeking, it's not possible for normal people to buy land.
Mhm.
Here, land is very precious because we have 1.6 billion population. And there, I mean, you don't get vast swaths of land to purchase. If you do that, you probably, I mean, it's worth a fortune beyond even understanding the kind of money it's worth. So our basic aim was to work with the department, work closely, which we have done all our lives. We have haunted the corridors of the department. Every officer in the department has seen us, has seen me and my colleagues growing old in the department from the time we were in our 30s and now we are in our 60s. And they have seen us, and there have been series of officers, young ones who have now become seniors who have retired. We have a good standing with the department. We had to bet our best bet with them that you give us the land, we will look after it, you will be always our first person in charge of everything, but the ongoing care, the financial outlay, the budget, everything will be in our responsibility. Department only gives us the land and has a benevolent oversee. So, to begin with, we didn't get much. Firstly, we didn't have any land. So, when our first elephant came, that was another story. It was too hilarious. The elephant that you saw in the picture, she was our dearest.
Which elephant? Which elephant in the
One
picture?
with the little calf.
Oh, yes.
She was the most pathetic, handicapped, gentle elephant in our lives. And our owner wrote to us from Tamil Nadu saying, I want to give her up. I don't know where to give her. The department is not accepting her. Oh my God, Isi, we moved heaven and earth. We went begging to people who had a little farmland. We went begging to people who had a small coffee estate. We asked them, can you give us the land? And they said, we can't because if there's one elephant, we have wild elephants all over our state. So having captive elephants means it's a real risk to owners because you will have wild elephants entering into the area because they're so curious. They'll come to see, there'll be a food source, there'll be fruits, there'll be things available. So people didn't want to risk it because one herd of elephants can decimate your farm and orchard or whatever it may be. So we were but we didn't give up. We wanted some land. And at the end of the day, after roaming all around, one farmer came up and he said, I'm ready to give you my land. I will, it was 2 acres, only 2 acres. I don't mind. Elephants are, I mean, it'll be a blessing for us if she's here. But everything you have to do, you have to make the water source, this, that, and the other. My only request is that you buy the grass from me as a farmer. As a farmer, I will be able to have a ready supply. So we jumped at it. We said, thank you so much. And we will take your offer up. We took up that 2 acres of land. And that's how Anisha came to us from the deep south, from a neighboring state. A handicapped elephant, 2 forelegs fused, hind legs weak, abscess on her sides, a broken image of an elephant. But when she came in, our lives changed. I mean, it was just trying to make her comfortable. It was like a privilege being given, but we didn't know how to make her comfortable. There were many people who had come and seen her. At that time, I was a lot in touch with people asking for advice. How do we help? What do we do? Where do we go? What is the medical thing? What's the best things that we can do for her? And then she stayed with us for 9 years. And then she was quite old when she came. She was in her mid 40s. And by the time she left us, she was in her early 50s, mid 50s. And this happened recently, the year before last, she died. And that was a very painful time. But by then, things had changed. In 9 years, there was so much of changes that happened. But when Anisha first came, just to see her joy in being without chain, I mean, in spite of a handicap, they used to chain her. I can't understand this mentality of people, of elephant owners, why they need to change an animal which is perfectly ready and willing to listen to them. And she changed our thoughts about the way elephants were so deeply understanding, so untroublesome, trying to be of no trouble, that kind of a feeling. And probably her first thought was being free. I mean, whole nights she would run through the orchard. It was an orchard of, what would you call them? We call them chikus here. They are some kind of chiku. Chiku
I don't
is
know.
It's a small fruit.
Oh, okay.
It's
Apricots?
no,
Plums?
not even. Chiku is, they are not wood apples. There's something like
Crab apples? Oh, it doesn't matter.
And it was a small orchard. And by the 6 months were over, there was no orchard left. It was just bare ground. In spite of her handicap, she was exploring every day. She was not allowed at all to do anything. Everything was a command. To put forward her leg would be a command. To go back would be a command. To take a right or a left turn, she would look for assurance. Is she doing the right thing? And she was so beautiful. Then we started worrying ourselves to death about her loneliness. She must be lonely. A human son, just not enough. She needs to have elephant company. But there was no other elephant in sight. So we did, and you can't just go out and buy an elephant. You can't just take and grab an elephant. It's not possible. The kind of politics and the kind of religious politics that reigns around elephant. So the next best thing we could do, we got her a baby calf. And a cow had given birth, and in the farmer's land, and the calf was so appealing and so sweet and so trusting that we started placing mother and calf close to her, not very close, and she started reaching out to them. And that reaching out became very deep in the weeks to come. She would want the calf to be with her. Calf would come snuggling under her belly, under here. So there was some modicum of companionship that we felt maybe she was. And then we were so fortunate that we always get, even now, lots of public letters saying this elephant is having a very bad time in a particular temple. Can you please look at it? Can you please do something to rescue her? Please take her away. She's not in a bed. So our first letters started coming in, and we transferred them to the department because we just didn't want to make them feel that we are doing anything without their knowledge. So we were blessed that time that there were some very good, very supportive and forward-looking officers. They immediately ordered an inspection of that elephant. And believe it or not, they ordered for that elephant to come to this place, which was this 2-acre farmland.
So it sounds as if you got a very sort of deep sense of the personalities of the individual elephants.
Deep?
A deep understanding of the individual personality.
Yes,
yeah,
of course. It is when you start staying close to them, and when you are looking at the CCTVs at night, and when you are talking to their handlers, you start understanding her as an individual. So when we knew that the second elephant who was coming in, Gauri, she had been incarcerated in this temple for many years, 25 to 30 years. She had come as a child of 4-5 years old, but she had 4-5 years of her time with her mother in a forest camp. Before 2000, they used to give away baby female calves to temples, but when we came in and we made a court case, they stopped that. But many of the elephants in Karnataka are from that era.
Right.
So at that time, when Gauri came in, Gauri was a huge elephant, very different from this frail, fragile Anisha, who was very scared of her handicap and who didn't want to put herself in a position of any danger. So she never reached out to Gauri because she was so scared. She would look at her from a shed. And she had her own barrier and her own space and her own outdoor yard, Gauri. And Anisha was always free. She had a shed which she wanted to go in or she wanted to come out. The land was there open for her. Whatever there was, that was all she could move around in. She couldn't move much. But then slowly at night and at things, we saw Gauri stretching her trunk to the utmost and Anisha putting it out slowly. And then you can't believe the bonding that happened. Over the next 9 years, the bonding was so deep that even sisters or family wouldn't be so bonded. Two elephants from two different parts of India. But probably some things vacuum in their lives.
It sounds as if all of these elephants, from what you're saying, have gone through incredibly traumatic experiences, taken away from their mothers, and then the violence and the captivity, and being chained up.
Yeah.
How does that impact the way that you are looking after them? What difference does that make in the way that in the way that you care for them?
Oh my goodness! In our country, elephants have been there for many, many years. For centuries, not years, 2,500 years, elephants have been a part of human life. Armies, royal armies, then royal temples, and then it got frittered into the mainstream. Otherwise, they were all usually held by royalty. Elephants have been handled by men in India for centuries. So there are people who have handled them and their ancestors are still there and they're still living and they still help the forest department. But times have changed. What their forefathers, how they handled, what they knew, how much they cherished. Today, it's not the same. There is financial issues. There are career issues. Mahouts, we call them mahouts here. They are attenders who live with the elephant day and night in various forms, whether they are in forest camps or in zoos, they don't live there, but in temples, and begging is also a big category here, where elephants are used for begging. Mahouts live with them. But today, the world has changed, and with that, social media, with the world that they're viewing, mahouts have changed. They also want the nightlife, they want city life, they want their dreams and their desires. That old passion that was there possibly in their great-great-grandfathers with the mystery of understanding an elephant, that is no longer prevalent. So the first thing that comes out here, when an elephant comes, it usually comes with its handler. To train the handler is more difficult than training the elephant or handling the elephant. He comes with a very set idea of how an elephant has to be. And his main role is to be of showing that he has control. His whole life is to show that he is an efficient handler and that elephant listens to him. So, to flip this over, to date, we are 75% successful, 25% we are still not successful. Because somewhere deep in their hearts, it's buried that they are worthy of their profession only if an elephant listens to them. And when it means listens, it means when you say come, it should come. When you say back, it should back. It should be left, it should be right, it should be eat, it should be drink. It took us years to make them shed that and keep on telling them, you are the best. They've got very fragile egos. our mahouts, very fragile. So we have to be very careful and understanding with them. So the first thing that they do when we come here is, please let go of your ankush or the stick. You don't need anymore. She doesn't need, you don't need. That itself upsets them for some time. They have to process that. And then once they are with it, then we tell them, now you just go easy. Let her be. You follow the routine, how she eats, when she eats. Rest of the time, just observe her from the. So now we've got observation books for our mahouts, so that they observe when she. Because we have to keep the elephants with the mahouts. We can't do without them. It's not like the West, you see. That's why, to me, sometimes we inhabit two different worlds, the West and the East. In the East, they are an integral part of an elephant's life. In the West, they are not an integral part. The elephants are their own integrity. They are on their own terms. Here, the elephants are on their own terms about 95% of the time. But 5% of the time, they are brought in for their breakfast, or they are given their grasses, or they are veterinary care with the veterinarian. That's when a mahout's presence is good there, because we don't have barriers. The whole place is not barriered. The whole place is solar fenced. The elephants can move where they wish. But it is also got things like barns and offices inside the sanctuary. So the elephants are allowed to roam wherever they wish. And sometimes they have to be always watched that they are not doing something which is like breaking the pump, breaking the solar power, damaging the.
How much area do you have for them now?
We have about 55 acres for them. And we have more of the forest ground. So on days when the weather is good and when there is, everybody is relaxed, the gates are left open and they just walk out of the forest. So the photos I showed you was in the forest. Some of the photos are of the sanctuary inside.
Tell us a little bit about those photos. I was guessing from what you were saying about Anisha, there's one video of an elephant whose legs appear, who's especially the left front leg seems very, very stiff when she's eating. Is that Anisha?
Anisha has two front legs that were stiff.
Did you send me a video of her?
I think I must have.
Yes, yes.
With another elephant?
Yes, that's right, with another elephant.
That is Gauri.
So with the conversation that we had.
Yes. And when we had them, they were in a tiny space of 2 acres. But to us and to them, it seemed like the world, They were free there. There was nothing that was refused to them there. But when they had to go for walks into the open farmland, we had to be careful because we could not afford them to break the orchard trees. We could not afford to annoy the farmer. We were at his mercy. But Gauri and Anisha bonded so beautifully, and they were so super sensitive of each other's needs that if Anisha would just flap her trunk on the ground, Gauri, she was on a walk, would do a somersault and would come racing back to see what Anisha wanted. I mean, Anisha's wish was her command. And it was so sweet to see them mud bathing and, just being elephants. And that was the first time in both their lives, probably that little modicum of exercising their choice of being autonomous in their wanting of anything that they wanted. Because in every institute, if they reach out for something, they are whacked hard. If they just reach out for food, they are hit. If they walk out of turn, they are reprimanded very harshly. And that really broke our heart. That's why when we come here, if I see anybody raising their voices, I immediately go on a slightly panic mode. That in the sanctuary, they're not allowed to command unnecessarily. From the morning, they are on their own, the elephants on the land, wherever they wish to go. But we find that some elephants prefer human beings. I cannot understand why, after all the torture that humans have given to them, why would they like to come back to the spot where the humans are? But it's possibly because they have been so much ingrained in their system that humans were the ones who brought them their food, their comfort, their water, their whatever. That to them, they do associate some amount of comfort level with human, but they'll spend a little time of their own volition with humans and then they'll move away of their own. And some of the elephants, especially one young elephant called Lakshmi, who also has a very stiff foreleg like Anisha, and who was actually the only elephant apart from Anisha. Out of all the 8-10 elephants that we have dealt with, only 2 elephants were voluntarily handed over to us. One was Anisha, whose owner wanted to give away, and this Lakshmi, whose owner actually wrote to us saying, I think you'll give her a better life. She doesn't have any life in the temple, and we are not able to keep her. That was really, really decent of him. Really nice person. She is the one who seems very attached to her Mahout. So if Mahout, in the past, we noticed that when he went off on his leave for 5 days, she would be off food for a little while. But as we started giving her a little attention and we were, spoiling her a bit, giving her favorite foods, she got out of it. She got out of that attachment that she had. And that, for me, that's the healthiest thing that could happen, is the elephants should no longer be attached to any human being. The elephants are very attached to us. So when we go there, they will come, they want to hold us, they want to... I know I'm scolded by one of my friends who's a researcher saying, they are not meant to be pets. They are not meant to be. Don't allow. But I feel bad because they don't have any other life. If they want to socialize with somebody of their own choice, I feel we can be that indulgent. We don't have to be so strict.
And it seems to me also that there is a potential for cross-species relationships and for caring about someone, who is not of your own species, and with outside of a domestic environment. So within
I
that,
know. I do feel they take to certain things. Like our Anisha was so fond of that calf, and this elephant called Durga, who is another, I don't know what to call her. You have to see her to believe her. The moment she sees one of us, she has her own chosen little group of human beings whom she likes, but she doesn't like everyone. And she can be dangerous to people she doesn't know. And so we keep new people very far away from her, because we've had one tragic incident. We never want it to be repeated, not because of the incident itself, but because she shouldn't be labeled. But she is so attached that the moment she sees the cars or she hears coming into the center, she will leave everything and she will stand in the middle and she'll vocalize. She'll try to imitate human voice. She'll try and converse. She tries to get the pitch to your tone.
Wow.
I was amazed to see that in an elephant, but I kept thinking it's not healthy. But she was a child when she came in. She was an infant. She was brought in at 2 years of age. She was trafficked from Northeast. She was brought into Kerala. Within a few weeks, without any papers, she was transferred or trafficked into Karnataka, where she was kept in a temple inside the city. And she was one of the 3 elephants that we had put an first information report, that FIR, that first information. She was one of the 3. That happened in 2005. And in 2020, she was handed over to us.
Wow.
The department confiscated her and handed her over. She was kept in a car shed, you see, all her life, in the middle of a courtyard with dogs and chicken and human and all that. And she was walked to a busy bus stand and then to the temple and then back. She was becoming aggressive. I think the department understood now that she was a risk to safety. When she came in, And that's all she had known, that shed and the family that looked after her for 22 years. When she came, she was 22, 23 years old. The day he came, her mahout, he handed over and he said, I am leaving. She was an unknown elephant to us. And he had looked after her and proclaimed that she was his child. But when we almost fell at his feet and when we said, you give us some time, stay with her, make her comfortable, just give her some balance and then you go. He said, no way, you have taken away my elephant. I will never come back again. And that elephant went into a spin. I've never seen an elephant becoming so violent. She broke her sheds, she unshackled her chains. She was demented with grief. She was left in a space, open space. She had never seen open space. She had never seen rain or so. She was in a shed, must have seen rain, but never open sky. Here she was fully open in a barn, and she didn't know how to respond to it. It gave us, my next gray hairs happened during that period of the time. We were trying to get Durga settled, mentally stabilized, how many days it took. And what all we had to witness and go through to calm her down. I had come to a point where she was a danger to everyone around her. She was throwing stones. She was telling people couldn't approach her. We didn't push her at all. We just sat around her and kept talking to her and just telling her and giving her apples and talking to her. She didn't want anything. She wanted that old, you got the battered woman syndrome.
Mm-hmm.
There is a battered women syndrome, or there is the Stockholm syndrome.
Yes, Stockholm syndrome. I was thinking of that.
People fall in love with their captors.
Yes.
Some elephants have the same psychology. I'm sure psychologists understand this phenomena. That where you've been most abused or most cruelly treated, you think it has been the only thing in your life to live. It took her 6 years to get out of it. She's 20, today is 25. Today I can see she's a healthy, well-balanced elephant who, after some time of meeting us, decides to go back to the person. She's not a herd elephant. She doesn't have friends. So she just flits around, which is also fine with us. But the fact that she's independent of human control.
It sounds, every aspect of the situation, from the legalities, the ongoing and prolonged court cases, the work that you have to do to navigate the law, and then this, the situation that you have with the forest department, with the land, and also maintaining relationships with the mahouts who are there as well. I mean,
yes,
it's so
and
much.
with the religious heads. Guess what we did next? We said one of the elephants that a temple had recently lost. We went to the department that heads that temple, and we said we would like to present a robotic elephant. So they were very thrilled. They said, yes, wonderful. And we showed them videos and all of the robotic elephant. And they loved it. The robotic elephant is magnificent. It's huge. It flaps its ears. It blinks. It wags its tail. And when it's a lever under the neck, you pull it and it puts up its trunk in a blessing. It was a huge success, you see. That first success. And then we presented 7 robotic elephants in Karnataka. And I am so sad, I forgot to send you the video of one of the robotic elephants. And when we go to the temples, we pay our respects to the Gurujis, and we tell them that the only condition is that you'll never use a live elephant again. Let them live with their families. If ever there is anything you want, you ask us, and this is our gesture of donation to your temple. So the elephants have proved a big hit. And now they're renting out those elephants, you see.
Oh, that's wonderful. I mean, isn't that great that there are positives to technology and robotics in this world?
Yes. And even in the Supreme Court case, we'll present this, that we have asked as one of our prayers that live elephants should not be used in processions and begging. And we are already, the landscape is changing with robotic elephants. What more does the court need? They already have an option. There's no need. None of our religious texts call for elephants in worship. Elephants are a huge symbol of auspiciousness in every Indian household. But live elephants have never been used to authenticate this. It was a symbolic thing. So, but people went one step beyond and they wanted to be super smart. So they started getting live elephants and using them and then abusing them. And then this whole plethora of problems started unraveling itself.
Well, I'm astonished by the amount of work that you've done, and you start off with that modesty and that humility. I mean, it saying, "Oh, I'm not in this category." But Suparna, honestly, what you've told me, I mean, I'd put you in a temple. I mean, you are
No.
an absolute phenomenon. The commitment and the dedication and the rigor, and also the compassion towards everyone in this story. The willingness to enact a kind of diplomacy that has enabled you to be able to help the elephants by forging the relationships, by understanding the needs of all these different players within the environment. And I think that that's really rare and really special.
You see, the elephant landscape is very complex and it is governed by everybody. Everybody is a stakeholder, whether it is the temple, that is religion, which is big, big time in India, the politicians who depend on the temples for many things. You have the media, you have the public, you have the mahouts themselves. Then you have the bureaucrats, the bureaucracy. Everyone is enmeshed, and if we have to be super careful in terms that all the stakeholders have something that they value from this whole thing and something they will not lose. So if an elephant is taken away from their midst, there shouldn't be a gaping vacuum. We have to try for something that gives them a feeling that they are not the losers. Yeah. Elephants, yes, they will be the gainers. If these people feel they are not losers, the elephants will gain.
That is indeed, and I think it's an example of how to work in a sort of complicated situation by making sure that all those relationships do indeed work. And I was wondering, obviously, from that first time when you saw that very first elephant being beaten, obviously elephants have changed your life dramatically. But for you, sort of as a person, the way that you look at the world, not so much in terms of the being sort of sensitive to the plight of elephants, but I mean, do you feel like you have learned something about being a person from the interaction that you've had with elephants?
Oh yes, Sissy, it has matured me beyond anything, I think, in terms of learning, as you rightly said, to navigate so many different issues and to do it in a way that will not leave anyone furious or upset or feeling aggrieved in some manner. Even the way we approach our mahouts, we sometimes feel like, giving it to them. But we control it because we know they are important. They have come from a background which is very different from ours. They are learning and they're willing to learn. That is the best thing that we can ask, is that we see that all their needs are met, that they are best paid in the industry, that they have everything they can ask for. But we ask them to give up one thing. Their concept of superior professionalism is to be gentle and soft. And their concept of professionalism is to be commanding and, perceived to be in control. And it's happening. It's reaching the I wouldn't say it's 100%, but there's been a huge improvement in the way they view things and view life. And many of them have been approached by other people and departments to come and work for them, but they have refused. They've said, we are happier here, which I think was a very, very big success. And yes, it has changed us because I get angry at animal abuse, but I've stopped getting angry at anything else. I mean, people's attitudes, the responses. I mean, I expect the worst, and it no longer take.
Well,
It doesn't take me by surprise anymore. But elephant abuse, if there is, I mean, I won't be able to stop myself from pushing in. But then at this point, after that first level of what I went through, um, uh, and what we saw subsequently in certain temples and things like that. We are working undercover, under the scenes, to see how either we change it or we transform it in some manner without if we voice our anger, everything is lost. It's lost. The chances for that elephant is gone. And there are elephants in India that, can I show you a thing that you may never have seen?
yes, please do. Please.
How they are controlled? 100% of the elephants in India are controlled like this, except the ones who are in rescue facilities. This is what is called an ankush.
Yeah.
And it is a bull hook. And this is really sharp. And this is how they hook it around their legs. This is one type of ankush. This was confiscated from one of the elephants who came into our center. This is another elephant. This is a different, very, very harsh bull hook, which can encompass the whole leg and dig into the leg. This was also confiscated from a site visit. And one of the elephants who in 2008 was sent by the forest department to our center because they had confiscated her for violation of laws by the temple they found her begging somewhere, and we had to keep her. And for her, we are fighting a court case till today. We are fighting a court case till today. In the courts, the same elephant who came to us in 2008, when she left us, we took away this chain.
Oh, gosh.
This is a spiked collar. This is what they use when they transport the elephants in trucks. So it is tightened so it can go around the neck. So these are the kind of abuses that we have been witness to, and it doesn't leave you the same. It just makes you feel, what can I do more for them? What can I do? And hands are so tight. But with whatever it is in that little place that we have, which we call their own, at least that little paradise for them we have built.
And you have indeed. I was looking at the videos and I particularly loved one where there's an elephant in the river and he or she is like diving underneath, is totally submerged under the water. And there's another larger elephant on the bank who's sort of like looking down as if in amusement. And it's wonderful to see that kind of that freedom and play.
Yes, they're not used to that at all. And that little mud bathing, that little dusting, that little freedom to graze, to forage, that is denied to them. It's so sad because those are little pleasures of life. They could easily have been given by their captors. Even that is denied to them. So we have to somehow take away this captivity of elephants. Absolutely, it should be out. It should not be allowed anymore. But we don't know when that time will ever come because we are losing all the land that we have for the wild ones. Where will the captivity will have to be a reality of their lives? But fine, a good captivity is better than the one that they are going through now.
Well, I'm aware that I've taken an hour of your time today, and it sounds as if there's always an awful lot on your plate. But I mean, all power to you and all blessings to you, Suparna. You are you're my new
No,
idol.
you see, people have done such wonderful work. Please, please don't club me in that. We are just doing a small bit in this small part of the world. And I just hope that more and more things will start changing all around the world. And already there's a change happening, and so much of consciousness and social media is doing also to promote so many things. So I'm sure there'll be good things happening. I just hope a very good, committed younger generation comes in.
Yes, yes, and there are signs that there are some very good, committed young people in the world.
Yes. So I must say that it was lovely talking to you.